333 years of Spanish rule, then nearly 50 years of American conquest. Being Filipino, it's always a bit of a mystery what my life would look like if not for colonialism. But it's a bit easier to imagine what my body would look like. Most likely, I would be really inked up. I can trace most of my heritage to here, Visayas and Iloilo, where my ancestors would have been heavily tattooed. When the Spanish arrived on the island of Cebu, they were blown away by all the people with drawings up and down their bodies. They started calling the region Islas de los Pintados, islands of the painted people. This wasn't just in Cebu. This was Panay, Bohol, Samar, Guimaras, all over the islands. Different parts of the Philippines have such rich histories and traditions, all revolving around tattoos. They were symbols of identity and belonging. They celebrated big accomplishments, served as a rite of passage, and were beauty symbols. So, generally, the more accomplished you were, and the higher you're standing, the more inked up you'd be. I want to introduce you to a legend. Hang on one sec. Apo Wang Od. I rarely get my art printed out, so the fact that I drew her and then got this printed out so large to tell you how excited I am about this. Look, I even got her as one of my rotating phone wallpapers. Anyway, Apo Wang Od is considered to be the last Kalinga tattoo artist. She's known for her intricate and beautiful hand-tapped tattoos, and she's practiced the craft for her entire life. She's been featured in a bunch of documentaries, books, and articles. Now, to call her a tattoo artist is already an understatement, because her skills include things like chanting or fortune-telling, activities that would precede giving a tattoo. Traditionally, men were the only ones who were allowed to learn tattoo art, so this was passed in her family for generations, but then when her father saw that she had the talent, she was granted the exception. This ended up being a really good thing, because now she's the last Batok artist of the Kalinga people. She was married, but her husband died when she was only 25. She never remarried, she never had children, so she has no direct descendants to pass the skill to. In traditional belief, you only pass this knowledge down through the bloodline, because there's a belief that if the lineage gets impure, the tattoos might end up getting infected. Now today, she has begun passing on her skill to an apprentice who seems poised to take over for her in some capacity someday, but she's still giving tattoos to visitors to her town at the age of 105. So I've actually wanted to get a tattoo for some time. I just wanted to make sure I was really committed to the idea before getting the tattoo because, yeah, it's a tattoo. I had a few different ideas that evolved over time, but that started to merge with how important it would be for me to get a tattoo for cultural reasons. I landed on an idea and then I sat on it for a bit. I put it on my list of things to do before turning 30. And here I am about to turn 33. Freaking pandemic, man. But now, I'm ready. And this tattoo's gonna call for some travel. But I'm not going to the Philippines for this ink. I'm actually going to another group of islands that are also home to a bunch of Filipinos. Hawaii. Okay, so I'm in Honolulu right now. So going into this, I did not have a set idea for my design. I've been emailing with Marissa back and forth. She's Brandon's assistant, and she let me know that maybe we could do that there. You know, go back and forth on a few ideas because Brandon's the one who understands the symbols and designs the best. Now, my kids, of course, they're super meaningful. Beyond just loving them because they're my kids, they kind of encapture a big part of my story and hope. My wife and I thought we might never be able to become parents, and ended up having 3 in 2 years. This happened in spite of some serious health concerns and ended with some major medical miracles, so they're kind of a daily reminder to just focus on making it to the next day and keep doing what you know is for you, because that's what hope actually looks like. Travel has also been a big part of my life. If you watch the stuff I make on here, you probably already know that. Curiosity, being exposed to different people, different ways of thinking and cultures, it's all really meaningful to me. It's much bigger than just a hobby. I feel the most like myself when I'm exploring a new place. I know things that look like compasses are a big part of traditional motifs, so maybe there's something there. Now, nature, of course, I've been working as a climate storyteller for years. Trees, I love trees as members of a community, as storytellers themselves. They're regenerative cycles, and trees, ferns, they're all over traditional designs. The sun also seems to follow me around as this motif, and I know there's no shortage of Filipino dudes with a Philippine sun on their body somewhere, so I don't know if that's exactly what I want. The sun seems to follow me in other ways. I don't want to force everything, like that's a lot, but let's just see how much of it Brandon can get in a tattoo. The day before my tattoo appointment, I decided to do a little hike up to the Makapu'u lookout. This was an easy enough hike to bring the kids along, but these views... Different parts of the Philippines have such rich histories and traditions around tattoos. They symbolize belonging, they symbolize accomplishments, and each group, each tribe or culture kind of had their own interpretation and approach to certain symbols. Now, if I was truly getting this tattoo done the traditional style, I'd be getting it done stick and poke. I have heard so many things from people who've gotten tattoos that way. One who says that of all the tattoos he's gotten, that was the most painful one. Another who says that that's the only way he wants to get tattoos from here on out. But the look I want is a little more crisp and clean, and so that requires a more modern needle. But after 1 year and then the next year went by and I still hadn't gotten my tattoo, and I'm like, okay, I've been sitting on this long enough. You know, a tattoo is something you get if you want to have a piece of art on your skin for the rest of your life, and I realized the longer and longer I wait, the less time that adds up to. So here we are, and tomorrow's the day. It's happening. Morning. It's time for me to go get a new tattoo today. Alright, so I just parked my car and I'm now walking up to the studio where I'm gonna get this tattoo done. That's wild. Tattoos are pretty common and have been a part of human history for so long, but this thing's gonna be on me for life, and we're getting it right now. Here we go. Hey there, it's Philippe. Alrighty. This is Brandon, BT Tattoos on social media. He has a modern take on traditional Filipino designs, and I love that combination so much. I love that it's definitely true to the tradition, to the history, to the style, but just the look of it, because of the line work he's got, and that really crisp look, it comes out very contemporary looking. Traditionally, the process of getting a tattoo is more than just sitting down and having someone draw on you with a needle. It was a look back at your journey, your accomplishments, and a look around at your place in the world. You wouldn't just dive into it, you would begin with a feast. Typically, the person receiving the tattoo would bring food for the whole village. Brandon let me know that this wasn't expected of me this time. The tattoo process then includes something that's akin to fortune telling, or interpreting your journey. Chants are involved. The person getting their tattoo typically does not choose their design. That's for the artist to receive and interpret, which is why I simply brought bits of my story to Brandon, rather than a fleshed out concept. He free-handed his design. Just before the needle gets started, you typically have some prayer. This is a part of the process Brandon maintains, a silent prayer. While he's a contemporary artist, he doesn't want it to drift too far from tradition. And while we didn't have chants, we did find a pretty good Fugees station on Spotify. Alright, we're done. Alright, mission complete. The ink is on my skin, but my sleeve doesn't roll up enough for me to show you, so you're just gonna have to wait for me to do the big reveal. But that was fun. I can see why people who get a bunch of tattoos say they're addictive, and once you get one, you kind of want to keep going. Brandon was super cool, and I really appreciate his depth of knowledge around the interpretation and significance of symbols. I also really like that he, his approach to the tattoo art is modern and contemporary for sure, but he wants to keep some elements of significance, including the whole spiritual aspect of getting a tattoo. So even though it was pretty simple, we did a little silent prayer before we got started, and that was pretty meaningful. It is lunchtime. Maybe I will get something to eat. Ready?
Does the shoulder hurt really hurt?
We'll go a bit further down this rabbit hole in just a bit, but for now, let's just say the reaction was a good one. Okay, so it's been a couple weeks, things have healed. It's time for the re-reveal. I know you've seen peeks of it, but I figured I would rather show you without the shiny plastic wrap in the way, so here we go, let's do this. And here we are. Sorry, I really don't know how to model these things, but like, there's only so many angles I can give you of my shoulder. Okay, so where do I begin with this? Let's see. In the center, you've got a representation of a canoe, right? So much of my story is captured in my family's journey. So it's actually a canoe with 5 pods here, since there are 5 of us rolling 5 deep. On the sides here, you've got that zigzag pattern. That's water. Those are waves. Seafaring played such an important role in people's lives in the Philippines. Water is also significant because all water flows towards the ocean, and that's the final resting place and where we are connected to each other. It's kind of cool to think about that both like ecologically and then spiritually. These things here, these are oars. Now, as someone who loves travel and storytelling, I really resonate with the concept of a journey, so I loved the idea the moment Brandon told it to me. Journeys are often about finding your way home, and while getting the whole tattoo to begin with is a celebration of my ancestry, there's something interesting going on here. So, see this pattern here with the triangles coming off the lines? That kind of resembles the way land looks when you approach it from a boat. You're sailing towards an island and you see it coming up, kind of like the back of a crocodile. That's the reason why crocodiles have always represented strength that comes from your ancestors, from your heritage, and that's what's going on there. What Brandon told me was when you have these carrots here going both ways, they mean 2 different things. So when it's coming from this side, it represents adversity and overcoming obstacles. And on this side, it represents the strength that comes from your ancestors, which is really cool because I think of, some of the people I've had in my life who have either passed or who are getting older, and just the guidance I've gotten from the way they've lived has been so meaningful. These are ferns or trees, and they kind of represent, my connection to nature, the role working with farmers and tree planting has played in my story. So there it is, and right up top, you've got the sun. You already know there's a sun on the flag of the Philippines, which is really cool, but it's also super common in the world of tattoos, and I wanted a sun that included that, but also represented some other things. I also lived in Argentina, another country with a sun on its flag. And that sun is associated with Saint Ignatius. His teachings kind of include the idea of finding God in all things, and spiritually that's had a big influence on me. Okay, that was fun. For real, I got my first tattoo, I got to spend a little time on Oahu, got some really good food. I have like 0 complaints. The more I look at this though, I'm like, maybe we can do a little more in the future. And Brandon says he likes to make his designs open-ended enough to add some more to, and I can definitely see myself extending this. Like, got these lines that can just easily be extended. You can pull them out, start riffing. I don't know, it would be up to the artist's discretion, but I could see this maybe like flaring outward a bit. See, like a short-sleeved shirt just cuts off right at the design, and I wouldn't mind having a little more visibility right there, It's really cool, but I get to have this rich tradition as part of my heritage, and I'm actually happy I went for it, but also happy that I had a while to sit with the idea and let it cook for a bit. That's all for now. Stay tuned for some more adventures from Hawaii, from the Philippines, and beyond. Soon enough. Later.